he discussed getting a job with. And again, I'm not going to describe more than's in the complaint, but the scheme that he had in mind with co-defendant Harris was a job with a coalition called Change to Win, which was affiliated with SEIU, which is the Service Employees International Union, and that was their scheme to sell the seat in that three-way exchange. That never happened. That scheme did not come to fruition. He curses later that it didn't happen, but the one being discussed was the SEIU fusion. Anyone else in the back?
Pat, can I ask you one?
Oh, sorry.
Did the FBI comment at all on the search warrant that was executed for Governor's Office at the Thompson Center?
I don't think it's the Governor's Office at the Thompson Center. There's a search warrant. Can we say where? It's at the Office of Deputy Governor, and there's a search warrant being executed at the Friends of Blagojevich campaign headquarters.
Can I ask you one, Pat? Can I ask you one?
Pat,
this investigation has been going on for years now. With these new charges, what's going to happen to the other lines of investigation that have been going on?
they will still be followed. If you look at the complaint, it cites back to wiretap conversations from the conversations we wiretapped way back in 2004, and we've been filing charges based upon that wiretap up until quite recently. And we will take all the existing strands of the investigations, that some of which you know about, some of which you don't, and we will take this and we will process it and figure out as much as we can. And what we'd really like to do is add a whole lot more information from the people out there who may know something. Yes?
Pat, I haven't read through the entire complaint yet, so I'm wondering if there's an indication that the governor was trying to secure employment for himself and or his wife, or a stream of income, because he thought he might get indicted, because he thought he might not win the election. What was he thinking?
I think there are quotes in there. He wants to make some money. He's got to think of his future. He does talk about getting more income for himself, more income for his wife. He does talk about the prospect of appointing himself. That puts him in a better position if he's indicted. And it won't go beyond the complaint, but all three issues are discussed in the complaint. Again, the person is, if you're fixing a camera or raising a hand.
Can you help me with a matter of law, a question of law? If it's against the law to sell, trade a job or a contract, is it also against the law to try to buy one? In other words, if you're a politician offering the governor $500,000 in campaign cash in exchange for the Senate seat, or discussing that you might be willing to raise that kind of money for him, are you culpable, or is that just horse trading?
And I'm not going to...
Without mentioning names.
Okay, and I'm not going to get into hypotheticals that go abstract from the complaint and start going down that road. I will say we charged Governor Blagojevich and Mr. Harris. That's all we're saying. And we'll do further investigation, and we'll get behind what we can in different transactions. And I'm not going to prejudge any matter whatsoever.
Let me take one more.
Rob, go before Natasha and Dave Heinzman have their hands up first, and I think that should be.
Okay,
I was just wondering, I haven't read the whole complaint either. Is Redstone's is he going to be testifying as part of this case at all, and is his sentencing pushed off or moved by any of this?
I think there's a discussion of Mr. Resko in a footnote somewhere in the complaint, and I couldn't tell you the footnote number, but if you look there, there's a succinct summary of his status in that footnote that I won't try to repeat out loud. And yes, Natasha.
That was my same question. It talks about him proffering some evidence but that you were checking it out and just trying to see what the status.
And I think I'm not going to go beyond that footnote. We didn't rely upon his information in the complaint, but it doesn't give a definitive view on his status. It describes what his status is.
Heinzman, Jay Levine, and Dane Placco. That's it, folks.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
If a Tribune executive did agree to fire somebody in the editorial board as an exchange for this, would it be criminal behavior? And can you characterize at all how far the Tribune plot went?
I'm not going to say how far the Tribune plot went, other than the person who was identified as the person to be fired was not fired and still works there today. Beyond that, I'm not going to try and walk back where the scheme went from a pretty explicit scheme by Governor Blagojevich, as described in the complaint, describing to Harris, and then Harris basically saying, I'm going to be more subtle about it, and Governor Blagojevich saying, well, do it the appropriate way. We don't go beyond that. I'm not going to opine on if, what, and when as to what happened once the conversation left the two people charged, Governor Blagojevich and Harris.
Jay and Dane.
Pat, you spoke very directly about why these indictments had to come now. Conversely, given the fact that all this is now out in the open, is it possible that anyone appointed to the Senate seat by Governor Blagojevich could do so and take office without there being a cloud over his or her head?
And I'm going to, first of all, there's not an indictment. I realize it's a complaint, so I don't want people to understand it's an indictment. We filed a criminal complaint. And I'm not going to get into where things stand in the Senate seat other than that there's an ugly episode that we've aired. We've brought charges. We'll proceed, and the public discourse will go its way without our guidance.
One state lawmaker said this morning he would like to see impeachment proceedings begin as early as January. I understand that impeachment is something like a trial. Would you assist them in any sense with any of the evidence in the case if they need to use that?
I thought about a lot of things this morning. That one hasn't come up yet, and I'm not going to take it off the top of my head and swing. So
Okay.
we'll go from there.
Thank you very much, folks. Court at 1:30, Magistrate Nolan, in 1425. Thank you.